Welcome, everyone, to Out on a Limb podcast. As you can see, we're always laughing. We're always laughing right before we come on. And so our friend Christina, who watches frequently, said, keep going. So if we ever have a laughing fit again, we're going to keep going. So
right.
We're going. Wasn't quite a laughing fit like last time.
No.
But welcome to Out on a Limb podcast. Today, we're going to talk about Galactic and Ascension updates. So what do we know that's new?
Cool stuff.
Ooh,
I don't
exciting.
know. I just
know it's all coming together. Like it's all just like, you know.
Ooh, the plan is coming together.
Hallelujah. It is. All right. So
What's how we went nefarious, like, and she's like, hallelujah.
I just thought about that.
Wow.
I'm on the peace train. I'm riding that peace train.
What I have envisioned is the little Martian from Bugs Bunny.
Oh, with his helmet, with the broom on the top.
Exactly.
Oh my God, that's funny.
He's cute.
You got to open it up that way now.
I'll have him come across the screen or something. Yeah.
Oh, good idea. As you can see, my birthday orchid is still here. We taped several. Every time we get together, we tape several episodes.
A little peek
behind the scenes. This is our second. I don't know when this will air, but this is the second one we're doing on my birthday. And I'm not just saying that so you'll give me lots of birthday wishes in the comments, but you can do that too.
Yeah.
But what we were talking about,
I love
little
that.
shameless plug for her birthday here.
Yeah.
Right.
I really am not doing that. It's just fun. I enjoy doing this on my birthday.
Yeah.
But we were talking about, she didn't realize, because we're the same age until today, and now I'm older than you.
Okay, so you're
a few months.
like I keep telling my friend Diana, I'm 2 days older than you.
Right.
2 days. Okay, you're
a couple months.
8 months.
Something like
You're a
that.
lady.
But she said she didn't realize I was Scorpio, so that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Because
Anyone who
Scorpios
knows
can be kind
Scorpio.
of fiery and intense, and
I think
you
I
wanna make
think
them
I live
up.
up for that for both of us. So
We're both Scorpios. As
We
a
are
matter of
both.
fact.
Are Scorpios fire signs? No, they're water.
They're water signs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you
they're
guys drown out the fire signs.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I am not enough into astrology to know.
I only know certain ones. And then people go, oh my God. So do you know about like Virgo doing this? And I'm going,
No.
absolutely not.
Right. Right.
I opened up Linda Goodman's sun signs and love signs, and I read everything having to do with me and maybe one other individual that would, and then that was it. And then those people I interact with the most.
Yeah. No need to know any other thing.
Numbers. But yeah, that's very good.
It is. And two Scorpios trying to live in the same house. Sometimes challenging. At any rate, we're off topic as we are wont to do, but Galactic and Ascension updates. Let's talk Ascension updates first.
Okay.
Yeah.
You ready?
I don't even
Are
know
you
where to
ready?
begin because I'm usually the one that's with my eyes closed bringing this information through. So I don't even know any of what's going on. So I'm
And-
just going to listen at this point.
And I'm just here for color commentation.
You can jump in because I've shared all of these with our little Galactic group. So you've heard some of these things.
So
What I will
I
say,
gotta remember. Remember.
You will when we talk about it.
Yes.
I will say this might not be necessarily an Ascension update, but we just passed through the 11/11 portal. So we're taping on the 12th of November, but yesterday was the 11/11th for those that are keeping track at home. And that matters. But yesterday was a very odd energy day. And so, yeah, so if it was part of the Ascension thing, hey, I tried to make it through with flying colors, but I miserably failed because it was bad.
Right.
Yeah, I woke up okay, but then as the day progressed, as we were supposed to do a little channeling thing for our good friend Candace at 2:00, but by noon, my body was just like, you're done. Lay down. You're done. I couldn't. My between my
If you
stomach,
were tired.
yeah, between my stomach and tired, and it was just achy. I felt flu-like symptoms. I even reached out to a good doctor friend of ours that we've gotten acquainted to, and because he has me on a set of supplements and different things, and it's making marvelous progression in my health. But I thought, well, maybe there's some, what do they call, counter interactions in between themselves, or maybe something in my. So I checked in with him, and he said, well, it could be this, and it could be this, could be this. And one of the things, I said, well, let me get some cranberry juice, and I'll start drinking some cranberry juice because that was some of the symptoms. And for those that know cranberry juice, I'm not going to get into the gory details.
Yeah, I'm sitting there.
We're really off on a
Yeah.
tangent now, aren't we?
Anyway, it started
Oh,
waning,
goodness.
and then by last evening, it finally just settled. So I think it was the peak of the 11:11 going through the 11:11 portal. And I wasn't sensitive to all that crap, but
What?
now
You're not sensitive to
I
that.
wasn't, and now I am, and it's
You're most sensitive.
now
Yeah.
I am. Yes.
You're saying years. And you,
Well, a couple
he was a young
Oh,
man.
no.
2 years ago, even 2 years ago, I wasn't.
Are
that
you
sensitive.
kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you kidding
No,
me?
I'm just a big baby when I'm around you. That's
Okay.
all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, for me, like, and people keep saying, "Oh, did you feel this and this
Yeah,
energetic
yeah,
shift
yeah.
and this?" And my thing is, no, I was sitting at the computer working on my programs. It's like you stop.
I don't have time to feel all of
Yeah,
that.
it's like, get away. Let me
Wait,
continue.
We just talked about that. We're supposed to feel into the feelings. We're supposed to, feel
Make
into our
time for
truths
all
and
of
all
that.
that stuff. Right?
Not when you're like, I'm sitting there creating my vast
Oh,
empire.
that's yes. Yeah.
It's very
Vast empire.
it's very time consuming. And my husband's like, "What are you doing in there?" I'm like, "Shh, shut the door."
Yeah.
Yes.
At any rate, it was the 11:11 portal. A lot of people were feeling a lot of things. So if you were one of them, take heed. You weren't the only one. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But that just means that we're getting closer to whatever's happening. Now, this has
That's a
come
big
in
deal.
a couple of different places. We did a channeling for a spiritual group in Kentucky when we were there about a month ago.
Yes.
And the Zeta came in and said, humanity is on track and we're doing much better than the last time we checked in with him, which was, probably
Probably
close to a
well over a
year.
Yeah.
People who are just joining us, like when you say things like that, see, I'm the one that catches these things. Like, what would a newbie be thinking? They don't know. Like you just said, a Zeta. Like they might be going, "What?"
So I think we talked about this in
Yeah.
previous, but for those who are new or just finding us,
Yes.
Will has a parallel existence as a Zeta, the little gray.
And then I'll
Is
have to
that
ask,
kind of
what does that mean?
gobsmacking? Yeah.
What does that mean? Parallel existence. Can you?
They're going to have to watch some of
Yeah. Yeah. There's some things, but
Gonna
just
have to
enough.
watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, the two of them are attached. He's in 5D. Will is obviously in 4D,
4-ish.
and
Yeah.
4-ish,
4-ish.
somewhere in there. And so we communicate with the Zeta frequently. We used to really talk to him a lot, but anyway, when we were talking to the spiritual group in Kentucky, some of their questions led to me calling in the Zeta.
Mhm.
Now,
And-
did you go, "Oh, that's the person I need to call in"? I'm just curious. Or did you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I deliberately called in the Zeta because I knew he could answer some of those galactic questions that they had.
Okay.
And so when he came in, he said, humanity is doing a lot better. You all right?
My necklace is wanting to go like this. It's like literally drifting on my neck. It's literally like I can't keep it straight.
Wow. What's over there?
I don't know. I'm trying not to move. And
Okay. Now I'm going to keep casting eyes.
I know,
And they're
it's like-
going, "What is going
I
on?"
think it's just because it's hanging on my neck and as I turn. But anyway,
Yeah, and our energy is so different in this room right now. If you guys knew, like we were so calm our last recording.
What is it with
And
the
now-
galactic stuff?
Yeah, when we talk about galactics, like we're off the charts. Just
yeah, giddy.
energy-wise.
That
Yeah.
reminds me of another aside.
We're
Is
never
that-
going to get to this topic. We got too many asides, people.
But this is a valid aside. It has to do with galactic stuff. We've talked about Moldavite and we had
Oh,
Mark
yeah.
Bayersky on here. You need to go to his website and get some Moldavite if you haven't already done that. And you didn't wear your Moldavite.
I
Okay.
had to hang it up because I was starting to feel it.
Do I have mine? No. I
No.
don't.
Wait, can you
Yep.
see it?
Yep.
There.
She has hers.
But our friend Chris is in Egypt.
Oh, yeah.
And she said that every time she went through a security checkpoint scanner thing, her Moldavite set it off.
So freaking cool.
The Moldavite, so these scanners recognize off-planet minerals and things.
Yeah, that's what's crazy.
It
Is
is
they're
crazy.
recognizing things that are from other worlds,
Right.
which
That makes me go,
Not a
That is a
conspiracy
galactic-
theory or anything. Jen.
that's a
We're
galactic
just
update.
let you
If you
make
guys are traveling, be careful about taking your Moldavite with you.
if the scanner goes off and you're wearing nothing that it would make it go off, you might want to explore that a little deeper
Yeah.
about yourself. You never know who you might be.
Uh-oh.
okay, so we're edging closer to the
Where we are.
So the Zeta said we're doing much better and that we are on an appropriate timeline. And then we talked to the Pleiadians who gave us a little bit of an update that was also in Kentucky a month ago.
Mhm.
And then recently, and we did a private channeling about a week ago, and I clarified some things with the collective. And so what they said is, and we may have brought this up briefly in another podcast, but I'll tell you where we are now. So we're in this other time window that went from June of 2023 to June of 2024,
Yep.
Okay.
in which we would be on this upward trajectory of chaos that would culminate in something happening roughly around Christmas to New Year,
Mhm.
around the turn of the new year.
Yeah.
And that would be very chaotic. They didn't give us an indication of what that would look like. And this is why we said in another episode, it might be before this one or after this one, so you can check it out,
Oh,
about
sorry.
getting your foundation of truth. Get your
Mhm.
foundation so that you can sustain yourself through this
Yep.
chaotic period. At any rate, by June of 2024, it was supposed to stabilize. There would still be some ups and downs, but we didn't be in a better period of stabilization.
Yeah.
And that the first wave of ascension, we remember we've talked about ascension being in 3 waves. And the first wave of ascension, for those that are on the leading edge, the forerunners,
Which doesn't
will-
mean you're better.
No.
no.
Just
It's all,
mean-
again, all based on your
Yeah.
contract and what you wanted to experience here.
Yeah.
Will happen sometime around the summer.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's where we stood. Recently, the Pleiadians told us that June stability period was now, because of what happened in the Middle East, which happened, on October 9th? So that was 7th, right around, we were in Kentucky shortly after that. And
Hmm.
because of what happened there, it pushed our point of stability into September of 2024. So I wanted clarity, and I asked the collective, why is that? And they said, well, it was supposed to be a relatively small thing between these 2 areas.
Mhm.
But when all these other countries started jumping in, and everybody now is jumping in, it's becoming
Trying to
much
make
more of a
something of it.
major,
Yeah.
a major event. And they said they're looking at our timelines all the time and trying, because our timelines change. And so even as we tell you these things, remember, timelines change. And so they said right now, things are still too much in flux for them to figure out what the most probable timeline will be, but it looks like it could be pushed to September, but it still could be June. It could be earlier. It could be later. It depends. They're not sure, but that's in flux. But that the ascension point was still stable for relatively around the summertime.
Mhm.
Now,
So even though that's occurring, it's kind of like they're 2 slightly different, they're different components.
Yes.
That's what
yeah.
we're saying.
Yeah. One will be the human trajectory and what happens on the 3D plane in terms of the chaos spiking around Christmas time and then stabling off in June. That's the physicality piece.
Okay.
The energetic piece is the ascension point. Now, if the things get so chaotic physically in Middle East or elsewhere, if things get pushed off track that far that affects our ascension timeline, then the event that we've talked about, this energetic wave that will wash over the planet, is still in play.
Hmm.
That would come first. And that is what would then enable us to go through the ascension timeline. So don't worry. We are still on an ascension timeline. Nothing is going to take that off the rails. No matter what our crazy governments do, no matter what happens, that's still gonna go forward. And it's going forward soon.
Because that's so separate from the government. That's because of the collective of all of
Yeah.
us
Our consciousness.
moving up into that space. So it's kind of like that's a train left the station.
It's already left
Right.
the station. Yeah.
Thank God.
There's no problem now.
Right.
But wasn't there
Good
some
analogy.
information about the quote unquote event and some some information that came across that was a bit contradictory to previous understanding? And
Well, that was, we
did
did,
it get clarity on it?
Can we
Yeah.
back up and
Yeah.
find what the event is versus the wave?
It's the wave and the event I think are pretty synonymous.
well,
synonymous.
the energetic, the event, when people have talked about the event for years and years, and Allison Coe has done some things about the event on her YouTube channel, and everybody's talking about this event wave that was going to wash over the planet. And a lot of people thought that meant ascension, that was what was going to ascend us. And that's not what we understand. I'm not going to say that's not the case. That's not what we're getting and what we're understanding. So again, take this with a grain of salt, see how it resonates with you. At any rate, this event wave is a wave that's outside. I don't know if it's outside of our galaxy or within our galaxy, but it's coming in and it's on the table that it could wash over our planet and it would stabilize things for us.
Okay.
So the collective said what would happen when the event comes in, if there's too much fighting and chaos, that all of a sudden everything would calm
That's the wave.
with the event wave coming in.
Okay. Yeah.
And it sounded like if Ascension's on target for summer, then the event wave would have to happen before that, but things would have to amp up considerably for the event wave to be needed. All in the book, all of the groups that talked about the event and Ascension have said, we're probably going to do it on our own. We're not going to need the event wave.
Yeah.
Because of our consciousness rising. But if the event wave comes through, it'll affect everyone such that all of the negative stuff ceases, so that we're all calm enough to go, hey, something's different. What happened?
Okay.
Now, because humans are human, they said a lot of humans after a point will go, oh, okay. And they go right back to their normal.
Kind of like the big C.
Yeah.
Because we
Right
did
back to their
exactly
normal.
that, didn't we?
Right. Yeah.
But a good number of other people will realize something happened, and then we'll start creating this new earth, and it will allow, it'll bring stability enough consciously
Mhm.
for us to be able to go through Ascension. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep,
So
yep.
the event wave is still on the table, may or may not be necessary. So
Mhm.
no worries if it looks like the Ascension timeline could get thrown off kilter by these crazies that are out there doing all this crazy stuff throughout our planet. It won't get thrown off. Make sense?
You're labeling them. Don't label them. They're doing what they got to do.
You're right. You're right.
They're
But we
living
can-
in contract.
in order to know who we're talking about, everybody
Yeah.
knows who I'm talking about when I
Yeah.
say that, right?
Do they?
Those that are really contrasting the heck out of
Yes.
this world.
Do they? Do they know?
We love the word nefarious. That's
Yes. Oh, that's such a great
all these
word.
nefarious beings.
Yes. Okay. And then so there's that. And then there's the flash.
I think it's almost
The solar flash.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
We did a channeling probably 2 years ago now. And it was one of the ones it's on our YouTube channel, and you can look back if you're really curious. I should do that too.
Well,
do you want a link to
Yeah,
it?
put a link in. We'll put that in the description as far as the link to that particular channel.
Because it's back in my mind. So people who've heard it are sitting there going, well, where's this solar flash? And realize this is a year of intensification with the sun's
Mhm.
solar activity. Like it's
So this what you're
yeah.
talking about is a specific is a physical activity that's going to a physical
Yeah.
solar event.
Well, it can be
Exactly.
explained in a physical manner
Okay.
by our
Okay.
scientists.
Okay.
And
okay.
it could be used to explain the event.
Okay.
Right. From a point of scientific physicality.
Okay.
But
No,
but the event and the
separate.
solar flash are two separate things.
okay. It is.
And what I'm trying to remember is which one they said would come first. I think, I know what it was. I
flash
think
was gonna
if I recall this correctly, and you guys can go back and listen,
Mhm.
I think they said it would be the event first and then the solar flash, because if the solar flash happened first, there'd be too many people panicking.
Oh,
So-
okay. So
so they
people
would-
need to ascend, move into that space, and then
Yes. So
Okay.
that if they can have the event wave come by, then everybody will be calm.
Mhm.
Like I
Mhm.
said, all the warring will stop. It'll all be calm for a moment.
So consciousness would be equalized.
Yes, I think that's the
Yeah.
word they use.
Yeah, it was
Equalizing consciousness.
equalized.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
really good. You,
Wow.
you don't listen to your own
Where'd
stuff.
that
You
come
just pulled
from?
That one
Yeah.
out.
There are nuggets
That's
that
exactly
stick
what
in
they
there, right?
said.
It's there
Uh,
somewhere. Now
Okay.
take me back in time. So because this whole event thing, you started listening to, was it Magenta or
About what?
the event? That's
Or
the
Blossom.
one, or Blossom. What was the two of them? And it was
I
something
don't
about some sort
remember
of
who.
color, something shift. That's what you were reading to me.
Oh,
about.
Amanda Lawrence talks about.
But it was when I was doing some cooking and you were reading it and I was tapping into it and I went into a conscious channel. It was
Hmm.
it was one
That
of
was
the-
something Barbara sent, but I don't know.
Oh.
She might have been talking about
But-
Blossom, because she's the one that introduced me to Blossom, I
Blossom,
believe.
yeah, yeah.
But Amanda Lawrence a while back talked about when she gets the word that it's imminent, she
Mhm.
will let you know. And she notices it by the color of the frequencies that are coming in. And when they get to a certain color, she knows that it's imminent. And she said she would give us notice.
Yeah.
So those of you who want to follow Amanda Lawrence,
She's great.
I personally trust her. You got to trust your own self and see if you resonate with her. A lot of her stuff is, kind of, it's quite
Abstract?
philosophical and abstract. And if you're
Mhm.
not there yet, you can kind of be like, and I'm not there yet, but I think
I-
it's to help those who are ascending already.
I'm already like, I could not understand her
Yeah.
when I first started listening to her. And now it's like crystal clear.
Yeah.
And that's scary.
And
Like
and,
when you notice the difference.
and I don't listen to her, but then like if I don't always mention energy symptoms, but Allison mentioned, oh, Amanda just put out a new update. I said, what is it? Another big energy shift? And she's like, well, matter of fact, and here are the symptoms. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, she
So
she writes a lot about the energy changes that are hitting our planet all the time. And so if you're ever noticing physical symptoms or spiritual symptoms or whatever it is,
Yep.
that it can be reassuring to know that you're not crazy or
right.
sick or something like that.
Yeah.
You might be sick though. Go to the doctor. I'm not telling you not to go to the doctor,
Mhm.
but you can kind of look at those. And
Here
When-
on,
when the
here
doctor
on Out of a
can't do
Limb
anything for you.
podcast, we
Yeah.
don't.
we're not doctors.
Right, we're not doctors. We don't prescribe anything, and we don't tell you to do specific.
Right. Okay. So
Got
I
that disclaimer
think
out of the way.
I had to put that disclaimer.
also in Kentucky, when the collective talked, they said we are on target for the Ascension timeline, which would be by summerish. Second wave of that would be 12 to 18 months after that. Third wave, 12 to 18 months after that. And what's so interesting, it's so quick. We've been waiting for this for our whole life. A lot of people have been like talking about this since 2012, since there was something else, 1996 or 98 or something. There was something going on. And then you had the end of the Mayan calendar and all these kind of things. And people have been waiting and waiting and
Oh,
waiting.
that's the 2012 date that people keep talking about, right? And it
I
just
think
clicked.
so. Yeah, I think the 2012 date.
So we're
coincides
finally
with the
here.
Mayan calendar end time. Yeah.
But when we first started doing these channelings, and probably in 2018,
Mhm.
and whenever we would ask about any of this kind of stuff, we were never given dates. And when people did give dates, things didn't happen, and so timelines change, and people get tired of hearing you say, "Oh, well, this is supposed to happen." You get your hopes up, and then timelines change. Okay,
Well,
so
and you even listen to Blossom, Blossom
yeah.
Goodchild. She's had a crisis of consciousness, of
yes,
faith, of whatever, because it's like these channelings come through and they say this and they explain
And it
that
didn't
exact-
happen.
Yeah, and they
Right.
explain that same
I'm-
thing.
I'm in that camp. Even though I'm the channel and you tell me all this information, I still kind of sit back in my chair and I'm like, okay, I'll just wait and see what
Yeah,
happens.
or whatever.
Because I don't know. That's the most probable timeline, I guess.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's, so
Right.
whether it comes and passes, and something happens, I don't have any
But
control
what's
of it.
interesting is they took great pains never to tell me, and I would always ask them because that's how I am. I probe.
Mhm.
They would never tell me timelines. Well, all of a sudden, probably a year and a half ago, they started giving kind of some dates.
That's
And then
exciting.
when the origin story was being channeled, they were on those same dates and those same timelines and stuff. So now I didn't even ask when we were channeling this in Kentucky, and I had the collective came in and they were answering some things or just saying whatever. And they said this Ascension timeline, and they told me the 12 to 18 months. I didn't even ask that question. So not only are they giving dates, but it's almost like they want to let you know to get things in order in terms of your foundation, and don't be distracted, and to be kind of prepared, not necessarily prepping, but be prepared
Not
energetically.
fearfully prepared,
Right,
but
right.
Well, and it's taken me a while to wrap my head around this, because I was like, well, what if you don't have the money? And what if your partner doesn't agree with you about taking money and all?
Right.
Anyway, a couple of things that I just think are good to know is that when there's any major shifts, and I think that's part of why, the big C happened. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because it made us realize, worldwide events can affect supply lines.
Oh yeah.
So like there might not be enough stuff for a couple of weeks. And it doesn't mean that, oh my God, you're going to be desperate, but it means if you're someone who lives with hardly anything on your, in your pantry, like my brother's so proud of it, like his pantry's spotless. I'm kind of going, okay, what do you do when you're hungry? Well, we go out and go get the food. But it's just have if you like certain foods, make
Right.
sure they're
Have
always
enough of
in
it.
there.
Yeah.
Or if you have pets that
or newborns and you need formula. We saw that.
Like we've talked about before, we live here in the Hurricane Alley type of area and along the East Coast. And we know as residents along the East Coast to always be prepared for a hurricane, whether it's going to happen or
So
not.
we have water and gas.
Yeah,
and
every
things like that.
season
Yeah.
we top everything off. We stock up certain things. We make sure the battery supply is good. The normal things. And so it's just part of life. And so if you don't do it because of fear, you just do it out of prudence. You just do it.
Your level of comfort. How
Yeah.
comfortable do you want to be? Because I'm sure that you can eat 3 cans of baked beans and still be surviving, but
Yeah.
if you would rather
Yeah.
have something else,
Right.
now me,
Be
I've
flexible.
cleverly started grabbing like 1 can or 2 cans a week and putting them away somewhere else and just encouraging the spending that way. You're not watching this, right, Rob?
This one he may. There'll be some
Well,
splaining
he'll
to do.
appreciate it when you've got his baked beans for him.
Well,
Right.
exactly.
Exactly.
I got 1 can.
All right. So that's pretty much the Ascension timeline. We're still
Mhm.
on target for that. But I did want to talk about some other galactic interesting things.
Okay.
And some of these were brought up. Well, both of these 2 things I want to talk about were brought up in the collective channeling in
For
November, which was last week. But it was fascinating. So I want to chat
Okay.
chat about it. The first one was the ancient Stargate network. Now, David Wilcock is an interesting character. I don't agree with everything that he says, and he's quite long-winded, but every now and then I'll pop in and watch one of his videos. And he had a recent video.
Who's he? From
He was on Ancient Aliens. He's the blonde guy.
okay.
Yeah.
He is a Edgar Casey. For those of you who don't know, he is a reincarnation of Edgar Casey, but we found out
Fractal of that, right? Yeah.
he's a fractal because there are six others
Yeah.
across the globe. Edgar Casey's energy fractaled because his
Fractalized.
energy is so powerful and it needs to come out at this time.
Yeah.
One wasn't appropriate for just one person, but he's the only one in the United States.
Okay.
At any rate, so if you wanted to watch that to find out where I was getting some of these questions,
It would be interesting if this fell into his purview. I'd love to have David on as a guest if anybody has the
Oh yeah.
power to be. But yeah, that would
anybody
I'm
know
sitting
him?
here looking at her. I don't know. You guys have seen me looking down and I'm going, I don't know where she's getting all this from. I just see ancient Stargate and then she flips it over and it's like, we got some stuff to go over. So let's get
I
on.
have a lot of notes. All right. So one of the things, because David is big into disclosure and the real ET kind of stuff that the governments are doing and all of that sort of thing. And so he's interviewed all kinds of whistleblowers and all sorts of stuff.
Yep.
And one of the things he was talking about was this ancient Stargate network. You guys watch Stargate. What's it called?
Stargate SG1.
So there's a lot of stuff in there that's true. I've never watched that. I don't watch what's the other one? Star Trek. I don't watch any of that stuff. But apparently there's a whole lot of truth in all of those.
That information's being channeled just like
It's
the
coming-
Simpsons.
Yes.
Like there's
It's coming from something.
yeah.
So I asked this question in the channeling last week and the Zeta came in again. He doesn't have a name, by the way. He just says Will Zeta. He calls himself Will Zeta. Just call me the Zeta. Okay. Anyway, he came in and he said, yes, there are Stargates. In fact, there are 573 Stargates that are active on our planet. Now, what is a Stargate? It's a portal that will take people from point A to point B throughout our galaxy, wherever they need to go, and they need to do it quick. But our planet, and he gave me this exact number. This was hysterical. He goes, there are 2,575,000 across the planet, but they're not all active. 573 of them are active. And they are used, he said, for the higher echelon of galactic beings to transport immediately. So if the higher galactic echelon of beings have to get from point A to point B to share information with humanity or from humanity to others, then they can go immediately.
Yeah,
So
this whole thing was not accidental. This whole creation of all of
I
this
am
stuff.
like right now I am vibrating from like the tip of my
exciting.
toes to the tip of my head. And this is the first, I mean, I've heard Allison talk about this a couple of times post channeling session.
I'm
but
telling you, when we
it's
do
interesting.
the galactic conversations, I'm telling you, they must fill this room because
Oh,
we always get lit up and things happen.
Mhm.
Well, and I came across one of those abandoned portals, abandoned or slightly not working well. Remember the woman who owns the horse farm?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Now
And
there-
so
I don't know if that's the exact same things. I think there are portals for us to send.
from the Stargate. Okay.
I think so. I think there are portals for us to send energy out of our paradigm and come
Mhm.
bring energy in and that kind of stuff. Get rid of
And-
whatever.
No, that's a vortex. There was a vortex
Yeah.
there, but there was also
A portal, I
Yeah.
think what we think of as a portal, and I would say it is probably different than a Stargate. A portal is more for just everyday use, whether it's from one place on the planet to the other, another place on the planet, or maybe planet to planet, or maybe even out of the galaxy. But it's more of
We're
just
talking beyond all of that.
right. This is
Yeah.
kind of amplified. This is
Okay.
Well, he said he defined it as a portal.
Yeah.
He said they're you would know them as portals, basically. So maybe vortexes are the energetic.
Well, that's just the release of energy
through a
from-
vortex, though,
Yeah.
right? Because we kind of use those synonymously.
sometimes
Well, did we? I thought
Sometimes.
they were two different things.
they are.
But see, that's like all of our understandings. Like there's no capital T truth, and it's all
Right.
kind of what you feel out and how you've seen
To me,
it
it's two different things.
used.
Yeah, to me,
Vortex.
a
Well,
vortex
that's
is
what I'm
specific.
saying.
Yeah, to me specifically, a vortex is just for energy
Right.
movement.
Release.
Right.
Yeah, whether in or out,
Yeah.
and clearing, and then
Right.
a portal is that
For
to
transportation.
transportation and going.
Yes,
from place
I
to
would
place.
agree
I
with that.
saw that one underneath the Statue of Liberty.
Oh,
And that was just an earth portal
really?
going from the statue. That was in our envoy group, going from the Statue of Liberty
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
under the ocean to
Hmm.
like a point over
Mhm.
overseas. I can't remember where.
So he was saying that specifically the Stargates are to take people on and off planet.
Okay.
And they were created, they were kind of invented and created when there needed to be mass migration of humans from Mars to Earth. So if you read in the
Oh,
origin
okay.
story,
Cool.
humans started on Mars and the Martians were our caretakers. They were raising us in community to learn how to be human.
No.
Do
that
we
was-
need to,
That was a chair. It
What? Oh, I didn't even catch that.
was a
Well, I
chair.
just-
I'm trying to show.
I was gonna,
She thought I tooted.
no, I didn't, but I was gonna ask if you wanted to
What is
chop.
with the energy here. This is
I was going to
nuts.
ask if you wanted to chop that out because it sounds like that.
Oh,
But you,
that's-
you clarified. We're done.
I'll listen.
Go
and
for it.
I just might leave it in there because I don't think you can hear it on the mic.
And
That
It'll
is
just be a
funny.
so people can
it's
laugh.
part of the energy. Exactly.
It
Yeah,
is.
this is
So they were created for that reason. And they were like, how are we going to get all these people off of Mars
yeah.
when Mars started to self-destruct or whatever? And so they created the Stargates and brought them here.
Well, and okay, so it's not like, woo, that's just crazy because think about it. We know from quantum physics, and Einstein talking about this, that, the closest point between A and B is like, you just
Straight
fold
line.
it up and there you go. It's
Straight
right
line.
there.
Right.
And so these are just folded points in space that
Right.
are just,
Mhm.
see, I got it. I totally understand.
And I will say, if you're interested in that and the 3-letter agencies and all of that kind of stuff, David gets
Yes.
into that in great detail. So if you want to know more about it, you can check out his videos. He's talked about this at length. This is a real thing. Those 3-letter agencies are doing this all the time
Yeah.
to the detriment of the humans they're trying to send places, sadly.
Mhm.
And they're training people to do this. And they're training people to, like we talked about, do remote viewing and all
Yeah,
of those
yeah.
kinds of things. So it's not woo-woo, it's real.
Yeah.
Okay, so they are mostly in densely populated cities, or they said in sparsely populated woodland areas. So I'm like, why would you have a portal or a Stargate in a densely populated urban area? And he said, because there's so much going on that people he literally goes, somebody could just go right through a Stargate in front of you and you would have no idea what
It's like
happened.
Harry Potter.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, in the train station.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys have to put in the comments because I can't remember, but it's whatever 10.5 or whatever it is. You just go like to that gate 10.5 and you just look
Bloop.
around and you go bloop. But
Yes.
so this is a really cool thing that my daughter sent me, and like, oh man, like totally get goosebumps from this one. But there are steps in the woods. And they're just stairs leading nowhere.
Wow.
And they talk about people like, I'm getting goosebumps. They talk about you don't ever walk up those steps because you're gone.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
nobody knows what happens. And so there's stories around people who've actually witnessed people just going up and disappearing and stuff. It's a whole thing on the internet. And I've seen pictures of these stairs and I'm like, well, of course there was a house there. There was a foundation, but it's like, no, they're apparently
Take your chances. Go ahead and walk up.
Yeah. So when you said that they're in the woods, because these are always in remote places, that's
Mhm.
like, who would have built a stairway here? Why would this even be here?
Stairway to heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they said, just don't ever walk up those steps because you're gone. And now that makes sense.
Yeah. And
Whoa, worlds coming
they
together.
said you would notice, and you probably have seen them before, but in your periphery, you might see some waves, kind of like ripples. And as you look at it, There's nothing there. It looks like solid. So he used this example of a piece of granite, like or a granite wall in a big city or something.
Mhm.
And if you kind of look in your periphery, you might see that it's shimmering. Like you might have seen a mirage, or some of you have seen energetic beings that come into your presence. They look kind of shimmery. You just see the vibration, right?
Yeah.
That's what you would see in your periphery. But if you looked at it, it would look solid. But you wouldn't want to go through that. And I don't think you could. He said you need a crystal and the right energy. So those two things in combination, a physical thing, a crystal,
Mhm.
and energy to be able to access the
And
galactic.
see, now that's kind of like Outlander.
Oh, I don't see. I'm glad you're here because I don't want any of this
So
stuff.
there's so
don't
much
either.
stuff out there that is based off of something, but Diana Gabaldon, who's a wonderful researcher. So I don't know why she added this little bit in there, but it's about the standing stones, the fairy stones or
Okay.
whatever, and how this woman from like World War II goes back 200 years by touching the stones. But you can only travel that because you have to have an energy source of crystals. So, a refined crystal, whatever. So I just think that's like, there's so much that's just like
Synchronizing
layered
together. Yeah.
Yeah. Or some people, or the skeptic can go, well, he just pulled it from that. It's just common knowledge.
We're not here to
I don't watch
convince
that.
anybody of anything. So you can be a
Yeah.
skeptic all day long. This is still fun.
Yeah. But when you get
Um,
exact numbers like that, like it flips you out because like when you're channeling, like you can't make up that stuff. The consistency of the information, it's just like so weird. And so, yeah, it begins to believe a network, it builds a network of believability or
And
structure.
David talks
Right.
about that a lot. He talks
Mhm.
about when you have different whistleblowers from different areas corroborating each other's story, then
Their overall story might be just slightly off, but the core meat of it is synchronized. Then
Everyone's truth, everyone's
Exactly.
perspective, everyone's
Mhm.
reality is slightly skewed.
Yeah.
So he said that at this point, aside from those higher echelon galactic beings that use them regularly, there are a core group of humans that use them. And those are humans that have been here since the beginning. He said, so in other words, I think they are galactic beings that have taken on a human body,
okay.
essentially,
Mm.
that have stayed here since when we came from Mars.
Oh,
And so they've
interesting.
always been on the planet. So in other words, they need a way to get back and forth and do things like that. They said if a regular human was to try to go through that, they would need to condition their body, and they'd also need to wear some sort of covering so that it would protect them.
Mm.
And I don't think the government, should I say that word? I don't think the government is doing that. I think they're just sending people through willy-nilly, and they're either not coming back or they're coming back in pieces and different things. It's kind of bad if you read about that kind of stuff.
Well, think
If you
about
read
how they
about that.
sent the animals up in space. It's kind of like
Right.
you don't know till you try it.
They also said that they were used for, and they cracked this up. This cracked me up. Heavy payload transportation.
What
So if you have
is-
heavy payloads and you can't put them on your spaceship, you send them through these Stargates. So I guess
I want to know what a heavy payload is.
I know.
What's in this heavy payload?
And you didn't follow up on that one? You didn't dig deep into that
we were
one?
towards the end. I didn't know.
Oh my
And
goodness.
if anybody wants to ask that question, let me know. We'll ask that question next month. But
put it on the list.
well, think about we had communities and cities and all this stuff on Mars, so some of it had to come down here. I guess I don't know.
Well,
Maybe that's how our pyramids got.
They had to bring some ice makers that we needed and some construction equipment. I don't know.
That's how it
Like
was.
you think about the construction of some of these bigger temples and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and how it's like, well, we don't know what the technology is. And so people are like, well, maybe it was like levitation or wands, or maybe it was heavier duty stuff that couldn't be left here
Yeah.
because that's not going synchronous with,
All right, follow me here on this one.
okay.
Okay, what's your theory?
Follow me. This just popped into my head.
Uh-oh.
I don't
It's
know,
fun.
right? So we're imagining a Stargate as something that's like this, like that on a wall, like on a vertical wall, right?
Mhm.
What if it was a Stargate that was horizontal on the ground in a place in which we wanted a pyramid that was from somewhere else, and then all they did was just there's the pyramid from somewhere else.
That's a huge Stargate.
Well,
But why
but
not?
we're
But-
human. We're thinking of things in
Yes.
human framework of size.
Well, I remember when I did I did a channeling in which Archangel Michael came in to help me, and that was when I was moving the vortex. And I remember thinking, God, this is hard. Like this is like mentally,
Yeah.
like there was resistance and everything. And he's like, why are you so small? And I was like,
Yes.
oh, and so then I made myself really big in my mind, like this is all just in here. I'm like, it's crazy. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, did and move it over.
Yeah.
You know, it's like no big problem. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah.
Think outside the box.
We have
Isn't
to,
there a parable about moving a mountain or something? Something in the Bible about moving
I'm
mountains?
sure it was not related to galactic
But
stuff, but it
If
might
it was. I mean,
Yeah.
think about it. You just said, Michael said, well,
Moving
why
up.
are you so small?
Yeah, I did.
You just, grew in size and you were able to move this energy, right? So if you needed to move a mountain, how big would you have to be to move a mountain?
Well, which is what we do. Like when people say, oh, some angel must have come in and helped me,
Yeah.
like lift this car.
Right,
Well, it's
right.
because you just
Mhm.
Tapping into
become
that.
that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I
Is
think,
that in your notes?
no, that wasn't.
We feel in our loser space.
But I think that was all, those were all the notes I took as I was listening to that again. Yeah, that was fascinating. And then the other thing that happened in that same channeling was our friend Wendy. She's fantastic. Anyway, she is on several councils apparently galactically. And so her team talked about one that she was on and she wanted to know what the other ones were. And they said, you're on an exploratory council. And that exploratory council would bring forth information from outside the galaxy to inform humanity or to kind of figure out. They were looking at outcomes. So they're looking at other
places,
Timelines, different
and
reality.
I hate to say civilizations but timelines of beings that weren't human. They're not human.
Okay.
And I didn't get clarification, but I
Maybe
should have
tweak
or
it this
could
way.
have, because the origin story said outside of our galaxy, there aren't any in physicality like this. So they're probably energetic beings that are outside the galaxy. But anyway, they have advanced pieces of technology and they're ahead of us. And so they want to see how they use those technologies and how we might be able to benefit from those outcomes of the use of that technology.
Oh, interesting.
We don't have that technology here yet. So they're watching outcomes because those people are ahead of us, those beings. And so they're using that to inform what happens here on Earth.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, and it reminds me, I can't remember if you guys channeled this or someone else, but they kept saying, I'm sure it was y'all, that that when we go through this shift, the amount of technology that's going to solve these problems. And it's not like, oh, everything gets great and wonderful. I mean, it's like we have our minds to it. We got to figure stuff out, but we're going to be thinking differently. We're going to be shifting our energetically, what we can handle is going to be different. Our responsibility, like our
Yes.
ability to handle things responsibly, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that, and it makes sense. Like, why would, like the things that have already been downloaded in people's heads and they've created, it's kind of like we've abused a lot of it.
Oh, for sure.
And I say we, and I don't mean like me and the average people, like it's
Yeah.
the nefarious people.
Sure.
But so they're probably like, I could reason with that. I can see how they would say, well, this is how this went in this civilization. We need to make sure there's a certain balance point,
Yeah.
Right. And at this particular point in our consciousness evolution, then we can introduce this particular technology because humanity, the technology has increased before our morality and our consciousness level can handle it. Right. So we're using it in not so good ways.
I just wonder if there's like all of these galactic beings looking down on us going, they're getting it. They're way off on that one, but they're starting to get this, it's like,
I think
There
so.
are
I
galactic
think
beings
so.
watching. There's so many monitoring us.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the, I mean, we can get lost in it all, but I think at the end of the day, it is kind of interesting to conceptualize being observed, not in a scientific
Petri
way,
dish
right?
way.
Not in a petri dish way, but in a way of, hey, they're getting it. Let's throw them a little more technology. Let's throw them a little more this. They're getting it.
Yeah. And I don't think they're watching in a judgmental way at
No.
all, but they are.
I would.
They're learning.
That's
That's why you're not a spirit guide yet.
See, I'm trying.
That's why you're still a human.
That's right.
oh my goodness.
At some point, maybe.
But even like the 5D Zeta is watching. And then you have 7D and 9D councils that are watching and informing, and everybody's talking to each other, all these different levels. communicating and telling where humanity is. And we're sitting on those councils from the
Yep.
human aspect.
Mhm.
So we can inform the councils energetically where we are.
And think about it. It's not so that they can sit here and do this little scientific experiment. It's because they're, we're all part of this creation
Mhm.
of like, once we get this stabilized, the understanding is right that you guys have channeled this, that then other beings who wouldn't normally be able to handle a physical form will be able to come into this space and
Yes.
be able to give it a go. So
Good point.
it's like a multi-galactic playground,
Yeah.
of experiences. This is Disney.
Yeah.
Sorry, honey, this is Disney.
Ah.
this is it. Like,
I imagine the
But it's also Disney, sorry to interrupt you, when you're in the hour and a half line in 99 degree heat.
Oh,
so
yes,
it's the good and
You're right.
it's the bad Disney, right?
Yeah, you
Or when
don't
the
have the-
ride breaks
you don't
down
have
and
the
you gotta
fast
wait.
You don't have the fast
Yeah.
pass.
Yeah.
yeah.
I envision it to be like, hopefully at some point in my lifetime it'll be like the the Star Wars galactic bar, whatever they call it.
Oh, isn't that funny?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. Where they're all together and just hanging out and
Right, because once
would be
we
awesome.
evolve, once we ascend, we're going to take our place. We're already in the galactic family. We're just
Mhm.
not aware of it.
Right.
So we're going to get to take our place in that galactic family. And our galactics are excited about that.
Yeah.
They want us to understand who we are and who we are to them and how we're related.
right. Exactly.
It's all
Yeah.
good stuff.
Isn't it fascinating? I love this.
And I think that's why the energy, like, okay, if we were talking about this stuff and we are like dragging, you'd kind of wonder, but it's like we get, we didn't sit here and discuss a bunch of this beforehand and get pumped up. It's literally, we say, okay, well, we're going to talk about this. And the
And
moment
as soon as we do,
Yeah.
it's like we become kids in a candy shop. Like
Yeah,
it's just
It's fun.
ridiculous.
It's fun. Yeah.
it is fun. But we thank you guys for joining us on this little fun romp through
Mhm.
Galactic and Ascension updates. And if we get any more updates, we will certainly let you know. Go back and watch either David Wilcock if you want to, his most recent video, or
Mhm.
watch certainly our collective channeling, the once a month one, the
Yep.
November. And I think we're going to put something.
Yep. We're going to put David's.
We'll put a link to
to
David's.
the.
To the one from the event.
Yeah, to the event. And I'll
Right.
put when we put other links as well. And just a little, plug for the monthly channelings that is completely free to the community, meaning everyone.
Yeah.
The second Thursday of every month, if you want to join us for that channeling, you're more than welcome to. And
That's live, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on the second Thursday of every month. So sign up
Mhm.
at treehouse-events.com if you want to join us live, and then you'll be in the know when it happens.
Yes.
And if you like these, we've heard such good comments. Thank you guys so very much for your positive feedback. And if you like these, please share with others so that they can get the word and enjoy our conversations and learn a little bit
Mhm.
and join our family.
for sure.
Like and subscribe and all that jazz. And until next time,
See you
Jazz.
guys.
see you later. Jazz hands.
I was just going to say jazz hands.
Bye.
Guys.